Time has flown by and it is already 2025. So now, a lot has happened in programming over the last 5 years, and here are some of my predictions for what's gonna happen over the next 5 years. First of all, the rise of AI-assisted programming. Now, this reality is already here. GitHub Copilot is here, Cursor AI IDE is already here, you can code through ChatGPT, but I think this is gonna become a lot more prominent, and it's gonna lead to two things. First of all, it's gonna increase efficiency significantly. One programmer is going to be able to get a lot more done today or over the next 5 years, and especially in 2030, than one programmer was in 2010. You're not going to have to ask as many questions on forums such as Stack Overflow. You're not going to have to write everything out yourself, because if you take a look at Cursor now, for example, it already gives you suggestions. And I think this is just going to get better. And when I say better, I think two things are going to happen. One, it's going to get faster. Currently, you have to wait a little bit for Cursor or for ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot to parse whatever you're saying, interpret it, and then give you an output. And then also, it takes some time to write all of this and create this code. This is going to happen instantly within 5 years, and that's for sure. So you're going to have to be able to code a specific piece of code a lot quicker. What this also is going to lead to is that one programmer is going to be able to do the job of more programmers. This probably leads to fewer development roles per organization, but we also might get, an increase in the number of tech or whatever is technologified within our society, meaning that the total jobs will still expand, but the number of jobs per app, per project, for example, will probably decrease slightly. I think also, currently, you can take, for example, vocal input and you can turn that into code. But I think this will become a lot more common in that you can actually talk to your IDE and prompt it specific ways through voice. You'll be able to, for example, say, okay, now change this button and move it down and change it to red and add some padding to the bottom. And your IDE will be able to understand this vocal command and do that. I think also these AI-assisted programmers will be able to interpret UI to a much greater degree. Now, when you're coding today in 2025, you're still having some problems conveying the UI design that you have chosen into your IDE. I think there will probably be some startups that fill the space between how can you take a Figma file and translate that into something that a machine learning model such as ChatGPT or Cursor AI can understand, and then produce code that looks exactly like this UI, because that is something that we're lacking now, but it's something that's definitely coming within the next 5 years. Number two is the rise of low and no code. And we've already seen this, but this is also something that will intensify quite a bit. Things such as Flutterflow, Lovable, for example, allows you to build websites, mobile apps, programs without knowing the code at all. And I think this is gonna allow a lot more people to get into tech, and it's going to allow a lot more people to realize their ideas. However, I still think that within 5 years, we're going to need humans to some way control the output and prompt these things in order to get the most valuable output. But I think for the more low effort things, such as the simple types of programs, the simple types of websites, the simple type of mobile apps, we're going to be able to build them with low or no code to a much greater degree than we are today. And it's going to be a lot easier to handle all of the integrations that today typically require some coding, even if you're using Flutterflow, for instance. Number three is that I think we're also going to see the rise of new programming languages. Take some of the most common programming languages today, like the one I use the most, for example, Dart and Flutter. Flutter is obviously the framework, and Dart is the programming language that it was built on, or that it's built using, and this was launched only in 2018. So over the next 5 or so years, I think we're going to see at least one or maybe two prominent coding languages that may have already been launched today or are going to be launched within this time period become prominent, just because they may be more secure. They could also be more efficient in a world where the environment becomes more important, and they could also be safer in regards to that it's easier to build applications that are protected from malware or from other types of malfunctions that can cause security issues. So I think we will definitely be seeing one or two new programming languages, probably something that is geared towards AI is going to be one, maybe something that is more geared towards crypto. And then obviously if you're developing apps, I don't think we're going to see a replacement of JavaScript or Dart or Kotlin or Swift in these next 5 years. But I think if you're someone who's working a lot with AI or crypto, I think we're definitely going to see some type of new programming language or framework for building and working working with these types of programs. Number 4, within the next 5 years, I think we're also definitely going to be seeing the rise of quantum computing and the need for developers to be able to integrate this and keep this in mind when developing applications. I don't think we're going to be at that stage in 5 years where every single computer is a quantum computer. Obviously not. But if you've looked through the breakthroughs that have happened just in 2024, with Google, for example, doing a computation in a couple of seconds that would have taken billions of years before with a traditional computer, I think we're going to see this to become more prominent. And I think the way this is going to start off is that companies such as Google, IBM, Amazon, for example, are going to be offering access to quantum computing through APIs, such as we are using Firebase currently, for example. But you get access to a virtual quantum computer that's obviously still going to have some of the delay in regards to your accessing a server and then fetching it back. But we're going to see that developers such as you and me are going to be able to use some of these quantum computing resources probably towards the later end of the 2020s. And this obviously comes with a lot of considerations to consider. How can you implement this? For example, material design in applications. How does this play into, for example, cryptocurrency type of applications and blockchains? And how do you protect your apps from malware or from attacks from quantum computing sources? Number 5 is that I think we'll see a lot more focus on accessibility over the next 5 years. And by this, I mean accessibility in a couple of different ways. For example, apps and programs and software should be controllable by voice for the people who don't really have a way to input anything into it. And you should also be able to interact with it this way for the people who are visually impaired. You're able to, for example, click on something on a screen, get haptic feedback in regards to where you are, and then maybe get some feedback through there. And this is going to be more for user-oriented software. I don't think this is really going to become a problem for obviously crypto type of things or things which are more server or back-end, obviously. But for user-facing applications, I think law will have to make us focus more on accessibility. And that's also going to include things such as the UI design, making sure that the colors have high enough of a contrast. This is already something that is being implemented within the EU. But I think we'll see more of these types of policies that will force developers to make their applications more accessible, which is both good for the general public, but it's also going to slow down development a little bit. Number 6 is that I think we're going to see an even further expansion and cost reduction primarily of serverless architecture. 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to build an application or a piece of software where you store the data somewhere, that had to be done in a server. And you typically had to own that server or pay for another company to own that server for you. And you had to store all of that data on that server and then provide your own custom methods to store that, write that, fetch that, and display that in whatever software you have. Now, we do have a lot of tools such as Supabase, Firebase, a lot of these other types of Amazon Web Services, for example, where you can, as a developer, pay a relatively small fee to access this and use this worldwide for a very low fee and for a lot of users. And I think we're going to see this to become more standard. And we're not going to see this serverless architecture only for storage, but we're also going to see it to a greater degree for things such as quantum computing, things such as image processing, things such as AI models, and potentially even the UI aspects where you can store specific UI aspects of applications and then fetch them dynamically depending on what you need to display in your particular application. I think it's also going to become a lot cheaper as things are made more efficient. It's going to be a lot more cheaper to use things such as Firebase or to use APIs that are serverless, for instance, and that's going to speed up development quite a bit because you're not going to really have to raise money to build a simple product, which depending on how storage heavy you're doing now, that's going to cost you a little bit of money in 2025. But I think towards the later end of this decade, we're going to see this to a lot lesser of an extent. Number 7 is that I think we're going to have to consider privacy and transparency to a much greater degree than we do today. Not only because we're going to see the rise of things such as quantum computing, but because regulators are enforcing this to a much greater degree. If you've noticed now, for example, especially if you're in the EU, you're getting notifications all the time on your iPhone saying, ask app not to track you. I think this is the case in the US too, but I'm not entirely sure. And what you can do here is you can ask these particular mobile apps not to track any information that's associated with you and not use this in advertising. And I think this is currently implemented in mobile apps, but I think this will also become law for a lot of other types of software and applications. So not just mobile applications, but also web apps and other pieces of software that we interact with on a daily basis. And I think also for the software that's around IoT, so Internet of Things. Your, for example, door handle is connected to your home system, that is connected to your speakers and your TV. I think these things will also have to adhere to much more strict privacy and data sensitive rulings than they currently do. So if you're a developer who develops this type of stuff, and if you develop user facing software, you will definitely within the next 5 years face regulations that will impact how you handle people's data. Number 8 is, I think, a good piece of news for developers, and I think that a lot of companies will focus a lot more on developer experience. So for instance, that will entail better IDEs that are again AI assisted, which will obviously improve the developer experience if that's done correctly, but also things such as how you track errors, how you probably display and visualize the code that you're working on in a collaboratory environment, for example, will probably be made better. Maybe faster architecture can speed up so that we can code in, for example, a Google Docs type of environment. And that's already possible to some degree, but it's not really a smooth experience. But things like that become available. And I think also companies will face more competition in regards to digitalizing their services. So companies, for example, that offer payment solutions will have to make their APIs easy and simple to integrate. They'll have to provide good documentation and automate it to the greatest extent possible, because if they don't, another provider will come and they'll be able to do that to a greater and better extent, meaning that I'm, as a developer, am more inclined to choose that one. And this kind of natural selection will lead to a better development experience in general, because all of these companies providing different plugin services will have to perform better and will have to provide better products in order for the developer to choose them in particular, kind of filtering out the ones who choose not to do that. But obviously I don't have a magic ball, and these are some of my estimations and predictions of what's going to happen between 2025 and 2030. I have probably missed a lot. Obviously I'm not an expert in most of these things, so if you have any other thoughts, if you disagree with anything, feel free to let me know down below. If you like these types of videos and want to see more about programming, more about the lifestyle of building businesses and apps, then also subscribe. It's completely free of charge. It's a bargain, I know. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.